All right, good morning. Looks like we are live, got everything going. Hope everybody is having a very nice Saturday, whatever part of your Saturday you happen to be in today. For me in San Diego, it is the morning, and quite a nice morning. All right, so what we've got here, we've got our colors that we'll be using today, and we are keeping it kind of simple. We're going to paint a red truck with a blue sky, and then it's going to be kind of on like a dirt ground. So we'll put using the raw sienna down there. So what you're looking at is I'm working on an 8x10 canvas panel. Some of you may be painting on a stretched canvas that's going to have probably, a ½ inch of width right here. If you're on a stretched canvas, when we bring our background color to the edge, just wrap it around the sides of your canvas, and then that way it looks nice when it hangs on the wall and that color's wrapping around the edge. We also have here our composition already on our canvas. So you've got two options for getting this on your canvas at home. One, you can pause the video, draw what you see, and then pick up the video for the painting portion. Or there is a link in the description box below that you can purchase the Traceable, download it, print it out, and then with carbon paper, you transfer it to your surface. And with carbon paper, it's actually going to come out a lot lighter. I don't know if you can see some of the lighter lines next to the black lines, but the carbon paper will come out a lot lighter, and it makes it a lot easier to paint on top of those lines. I went over my traceable lines with a Sharpie marker for those of you at home that are going to pause the video and draw what you see. So those of you that are doing the traceable option, you do not have to do the Sharpie marker on top of your lines. It's actually easier if you don't, so that way you can cover it with paint. All right. Oh, and we've got quite a few people jumping on the chat. Let's see. Hi, Emily and Ellery and Tammy and Nalish. Hopefully I pronounced that correct. Awesome. And Denise, see you on there. And everybody else that is watching, but you don't always comment and chat. Thanks for just hanging out with me this morning and making the effort to get to the live video. So thank you. And Natasha, thank you. I see a few more jumping on. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to do our background of our sky, and then we'll get kind of the raw sienna, the dirt ground here, and then we'll move into our truck and just kind of take it section by section. You have full permission to switch out any colors if you want a blue truck or a gray truck or a black, and you want maybe, mountains in your background or something else, or maybe you want it in the grass. You full permission to change anything about this painting. Just use this as kind of a guideline. So for our sky, I'm actually going to go for kind of a middle blue, and I meant to put the blue next to the white, so I didn't do that. So instead, I'm just making a new pile right there. A little bit of pigment goes a long way. My channel is geared towards first-time and beginner painters, so I'm going to kind of explain step by step how to mix and how to do your things. But if you're kind of comfortable with it, just take the parts that work for you for the video. So if you've never mixed paint before, a little bit of pigment goes a long way to kind of make your color. And if you like that color, you can work with that. Or if you maybe you want to go a little darker, you can do what we call perimeter mixing and decide which shade that you want and then mix a bit more of it. So as you're in your beginning stages of painting, your brain's taking in a lot of information. So just kind of have fun and play with it. Now, as you're filling up the background, there's 3 brush strokes to try. You've got the full width of your brush. Then you can turn that brush sideways a little bit skinnier. And then the favorite one is literally slapping your brush, making X marks, and kind of filling up that space. So whichever brush stroke you like or want to kind of practice on for this painting, stick with that and just kind of fill in the space and just have fun. So I will be bringing this blue right up next to the truck. And let's see, let's get kind of that horizon line, probably about right there. If yours is a little lower or higher than mine, that's okay. But we're basically going to go from this line all the way to the edges and filling all this space with this kind of medium blue color. Now, if you have to mix your color a second or third time, and you'll see that I'll do that a couple of times, don't stress about getting the exact same shade every time. Once we have our background filled in, I am going to kind of talk about some wet on wet blending so you can kind of play with it. Basically, especially for my first time of beginner painters. I just want you to have fun. This is a nice, safe outlet. It's pretty awesome to watch how you transform this white canvas space into an image in a relatively short amount of time. And while you're creating that image, you tend to forget about the rest of the world. And that is the best part of the painting process. All right. And cool. I see you guys talking amongst yourself. Like I said, that just makes me so happy. And love this little community that we have created. So as you're painting, if you happen to get really excited, maybe you paint your background on top of your truck or you paint something where you don't want it, don't stress. Acrylic paint is a very versatile medium. If you don't like something, you just let it dry and then paint right on top of it again. Basically, I consider most of my students, you are adult kindergartners. Just have fun and play and be 5 years old for a little bit. When you go to your job, you can be all serious, but when you're painting, you do not need to be serious. All right, and again, if you happen to go over anything, don't stress about it. And because we can see through, we've got these windows right here, so we're going to put blue in that area, here and here. And if you need to, move down to the smaller pointy brush to kind of make those smaller spaces a little bit easier to get into. So I'm actually going to paint right over that arc for the steering wheel because there is that little space underneath as well that needs to be the sky color. And if you're holding your breath, just realized I was holding my breath, take a deep inhale, relax, it's just painting. Even if you're just watching the video, take a big inhale. We can never do too much intentional and conscious breathing. It just kind of gets you in the moment. Okay, oh, I thought there was another little one. There's a little kind of triangle. I'm just gonna fill that whole space in. We'll take some darker colors when we get into the truck and redefine and kind of push those windows back. All right, so while your paint is wet, and my background is still wet, this is called wet on wet blending. You can go with the darker color, and I'm actually gonna go a little bit darker towards the top, and then we'll go be a little bit lighter from our horizon line. And you can only do this, like I said, when your background is wet and you're introducing new wet paint. So kind of slapping that dark blue on there. A lot of times I like to wipe off that excess paint and then kind of coming back to where you introduce that new color, and then light pressure, you're just basically going to kind of mix your background color and this new color you introduced directly on your canvas. And this is part of the fun aspect of painting, just kind of seeing how this colors blend together, play with the pressure of your brush. That will affect your brush strokes. And if you move your brush a lot, you kind of lose an effect that you liked. Just reapply that pigment and move your brush less. So you can do the same thing with white. And like I said, we're going a little bit lighter towards the horizon line. I need that a little bit lighter in there as well. And same thing, wipe that brush off. And then with the lighter colors, you're actually going to notice that the lighter colors get eaten up and diffuse a lot quicker than the darker colors. And the more that you paint, the more that concept gets a little bit more comfortable and kind of becomes second nature. So when you're beginning your blending stages and getting comfortable with it, be nice to yourself. If you have super fast drying paint, which a lot of my first-time students are using, maybe take it in sections. Maybe just do 1/3 here, get all the blending, and then do another third until you can get comfortable working fast enough to do the whole background. So no matter what tools you have, adjust what you need based on the variables that you're working with. All right. Just looking over comments. Let's see. Hi, Photography Queen. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Jen. Awesome. Cool, cool. All right. Oh, let me blend a few of these in here. So for your background, for the sky, you want to do everything that you want to it right now while it's wet before you move on to your next section. And on a side note, I do try to keep these demos at about 30 to 40 minutes, just given some of the technical issues. and even internet speeds and everything, trying to keep these on the short side. So do not feel like you have to paint as quickly as I paint. It is perfectly okay to pause the video as needed. And in some of my more structured edited videos, you'll see that I recommend that. Pause the video, take a progress photo, work on what you need to, and then pick up the video again. So feel free to do that for the demos as well. So here, using the middle small brush again, our medium flat brush, we're using the raw sienna direct by itself. And then we're going to take some black and raw sienna and put a shadow underneath the truck. And if you are using student grade paint or your paint is on the transparent side, there's two things that you can do. Here you can see as I apply it, we can still see the white of the canvas showing through, and you can see my brush strokes show up quite a bit. So two options. You can either let that dry and do a second coat, or grab thicker paint or more paint, and kind of using your brush at this 45-degree angle, you can apply it a lot thicker, and look at how much more opaque that is compared to a thinner layer of paint on the canvas. So you are always kind of playing and adjusting with the variables of your paint, of your environment. When you paint outside, your paint dries a lot faster. Your emotional content of where you're at for that particular day. You're taking in a lot. So there's a lot of things to consider when you paint. So trying to have fun above anything else will make the process that much easier as you're learning a lot of things. All right, and again, those of you on that stretched canvas, carry that color around the sides, the tops, and the bottom. All right, and let's see if we're kind of level. I'm gonna pull this line up a little bit more. And if you need to, you could actually hold your brush, see if I can do it so you guys can see a little better, and kind of see if everything is level. So we're actually gonna bring that up a little more. All right, so now we're gonna create a bit of a shadow. All right, and I see a few questions, so I'll look in a moment and address some of those. So we're going to create a shadow now, and the black pigment's rather powerful and intense, so a little bit of pigment will go a long way. So I like to put a little on the brush, and that's actually still way too much, so I'm going to make a new pile here and then start pulling some of that raw sienna. So we're basically going for a pretty dirty brown. There we go, I'm going to pull a little more of that black in. And again, we're creating the shadow underneath the truck. So just like doing the wet on wet blending in the sky, we're doing the same thing with the truck here. And as I'm applying this, I'm realizing it's actually not dark enough. So I'm going to go back and grab more of that darker pile from here, and then you can see how that kind of changes. And I'll actually probably even grab some of that direct black and go a little darker right underneath the base of the truck. And I'm imagining that this is a dirt road, so it doesn't have to be super smooth. So if you do what we call a stippling effect, and even do it as you move into the raw sienna, it gives a bit of kind of the texture of a dirt road. All right, let's see, we've got quite a few. All right, so let's see some questions. So Emily's saying you're gonna try sections because your blue sky background isn't blending correct. So yeah, depending on what type of paint you have and the viscosity of the paint, the thickness of the paint, try to work in smaller sections, or you might go through a lot of paint too, but applying it super, super thick so that way the dry time is slightly extended. But keep trying to find your different ways to make that happen. That's really the basis of creativity. And Ruby looks like he's having trouble getting the traceable. There should be a link down there and you'll have to scroll. This one will actually be towards the bottom. So you'll have to scroll down through all the traceables. And if you're still having trouble with it, send me an email and I can either email it directly to you or figure out what the issue is. And that will be through the Lovejoy Creations, my main website for my portfolio. And even just on a side note, when you order the traceables, it's a digital download, so you'll be emailed a confirmation, and there's a link in that confirmation email with your order number and a link to download the traceable. and that link expires in 24 hours. So make sure you download it after you order. And then again, if you happen to miss that time frame, just send me an email and I will email that Traceable directly to you. All right, so here you saw that I grabbed the black paint and just in a few areas went in a little bit more intensely with the shadow element. And just trying to have a few places where it's a bit darker compared to the dirty brown. All right, and as I look at it on the screen, looking pretty good. So as you do this, get out of your chair and look at your painting from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away. And you'll notice if this shadow is looking appropriate or not. And when you look at your painting from the distance of 5 to 10 feet away, that is the normal viewing distance for most things in life and especially artwork. So getting in that habit of looking at your artwork from a distance will just help your skills improve a lot quicker. So with art, perspective is a huge part of it. And yes, Denise, the stippling is the same thing as the stabbing method. I believe stippling is more of the correct term, art term for it, but stabbing sounds kind of fun. So whichever works for you. And Ruby, glad that helped and hopefully you were able to get the traceable. All right, let's see what else before we move into the truck. Awesome Sunday, glad you enjoy the videos and the tips, thanks. Same with Lita E, thank you. Oh, and so glad that your grandkids, that you're painting with them and that you guys are enjoying the videos. Thank you. Awesome. All right, so let's move into the truck. And basically what we're gonna do, because I don't want pink, I'm not a huge fan of pink trucks, and I want this to be kind of a classic red truck. What we're gonna do is kind of what we did in the ground. We're gonna kind of put our base of the red in, and then we're gonna make kind of what we did here, the dirty brown. We're gonna do a red and black shadow to put on here, and then we'll move into the tires, the grill, and then we'll put a few little white highlights on after the paint's dried a little bit. Because like I said, we're gonna avoid making pink on our truck. But like I said earlier, if you want to switch out colors, you want to make a pink truck, go right ahead. And no matter what color you make your truck, send me your photos. They're getting so much feedback and support on social media, and so many people are telling me that from the student paintings, it's encouraging them to paint. So please keep sending me your photos. I'm so proud of you guys for everything that you're painting and all the ways you're challenging yourself. And all that work that you do does inspire other people to give it a try as well. All right, so again, applying my paint, I'm going actually right over some of those lines. And because I'm using student grade paint, you can see the lines right through them. But I'll be using those lines as a guide for my shadows. And if you did not do the black outline like I recommended, when we get into the shadows, you'll be strengthening your power of observation, because you might have covered your lines and you can't see those. So you'll be observing where I place the darker shadows. And again, that just strengthens your art skills, that strengthens life skills by becoming more and more observant. And art is a great tool at becoming more observant. And again, if you need to move into one of the small pointy brushes, go right ahead. I have the very strong tendency to grab a brush, and that's what I use primarily until I get into the details. The same brush. And same thing with the student grade paint that I was mentioning earlier. Because this is so transparent, you can either do 2 coats, or if you do that really thick application like that, then it's a bit more opaque. So kind of your call what you want to do. All right, let's move into the pointy brush. I'm gonna get the roof on there, and let's see, that's grill. We got a little bit coming down here. All right, and as you're working on these smaller areas, kind of mind the pressure of your brush as you're using the pointy brush. Light pressure is going to create a skinnier line. More pressure is going to create a bit of a wider line. So as you're working in these areas, if you need to, put your pinky out, use that as kind of a steady pivot point, rest your forearm against the edge of the table, and that's what I'm actually doing, is resting my forearm. But do what you need to do to keep your hands steady and adjust for your painting skills and just where you're at for today. All right, and I am going to stick with the pointy brush as we move into some of these shadows. So I'm going to drop that in the water right now. Okay, and we will do the interior and kind of clean up those window lines as well. Okay, so just like when we were working with the raw sienna, that black's pretty powerful and a little bit goes a long way. So put a little on the side, and that's actually quite a bit on my brush. So I'm going to just wipe some of that excess off. And even just that residual on my brush, you can see how it started to change it. Going a little bit darker. Because remember, as we went with that first layer on the ground, it picked up the red under, or the color underneath, and diffused it. So this may actually be a little bit darker than I need to, but that's okay. We're gonna see how it works. So we're gonna kind of push this here. Yeah, that is pretty dark. And you will notice that as you're painting, you will mix a color on here, and then sometimes when you go to apply it on your painting, it looks a little bit different. And that's basically called color theory. We interpret our color based on the color next to it. So if you mix a color here and then you come to apply it and you go, oh, it needs to be darker or lighter, it needs to be adjusted, trust that. Go ahead and adjust the color on your plate to get back to what you need to. Because we interpret a color based on the color next to it, it looks different here on the palette with all the white plate and even other colors next to it compared to the same color next to red. So just something to kind of think about while you're painting. Okay, so now we're going to start laying this right on top of the red and getting our shadow. So that line that was kind of going all the way across the width of the truck, basically just going to place my brush on there, medium pressure, and I'm pulling that all the way through. And then I'm going to start pulling it down a little bit. Whoops, let me wipe off that excess paint. And then start pulling it down so it's blending with the red underneath compared to the red above it. And this helps create a bit of a perimeter line. And if you're finding that your brush strokes are showing up quite a bit and that's kind of annoying, you don't like that look, do what I'm doing right here where you come in at that 45-degree angle and it's kind of like you're using the side of the brush, and your brush strokes will show up a little less. All right, and we're going to do the same thing down here. Go back and grab that dark red black mixture. Go right on top, and then again wipe that off. And we're going to blend and diffuse that into the base. And if you need to, if you're finding that your paint's already dry, you could go back, grab some of that red, and kind of make that base color and blend it back in. You're going to find that with blending acrylic paint, it's kind of a back and forth action, and based on the variables that you might be working with for that day, you have to do a few different things. So trust your instincts and just don't take it too seriously. All right, so let's see, we got a few more places this shadow is going to go. So this whole kind of like elongated angle or long L shape, we're going to do the same thing. Just kind of going right on top of it. And then this will be the same right here above the grill. We don't have too much that we have to blend, but we'll do a little bit of blending to the left of that. So right here, blending that into the red. All right, we don't have much on the top hood. We will have a little more shadow happening in here. Okay. All right, so clean that brush really good. We're going to go into some shades of gray as we do the tires and the grill and the interior of the car. And let's actually go ahead and do the interior first, just so that can dry a little bit quicker. And to make our gray, I'm actually going to switch brushes because there's still some red paint in there, and I don't really want a tainted or a tinted gray. All right, so pull in some white aside, same thing. A little bit of pigment goes a long way. And I actually want a bit darker than that, so taking some of that residual black paint, make it a new pile, and I'll actually use both of those. So right now we're kind of going for this medium gray. We'll use the light gray in a moment. And at home, if you want, wait until your red paint is fully dry before you do this, so that way you don't get some of the red into the gray paint. If you are super eager and you don't want to wait, just be really cautious and controlled as you come up next to the red paint. If you happen to get some of that red paint in there, just take a paper towel, wipe it off, and then reapply the appropriate color. And just making a bit more of my dark gray. Remember to breathe. If you are finding that your brush is shaky as you go to apply the paint, that means you're holding your breath. So if you exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, that will make it a little bit easier for you. All right, we're going to go just a touch darker. And I'm putting that right underneath, and it is blending a little bit with the medium medium gray in there. Okay, so same medium gray. Let's get the square shape of the headlight. We will put a lighter gray circle in there later. All right, and we've got our tires. So just make it another pile. And again, if you're on your plate and your colors are kind of getting close to each other, it's okay to use the rim of the plate or another area, but just kind of adjust what you need to based on where you're at. All right, still going a little darker. There we go. All right, so we're going to move into the tires. And we're going to do the side tires with this dark gray, and then we'll do the front of the tire, or the tread of the tire, with black. That'll be the darkest area. And again, just went right over my line. We will be going a little bit lighter on the inside of this side of the tire. Like right now, it kind of looks like a weird monster truck. And this one, the front, and it's going to be, kind of gets a little pointy, kind of white at the top, and a little pointy as it reaches the bottom of that tire. And then now grabbing that black by itself, we're going to fill in this whole side portion of the tire, and then the tread on the other tires. And as you guys keep getting more and more into painting, please share, like I said, email me your photos, but share with your community your creations, your experience that encourages them to paint. There we go. When you're ready to kind of try some more challenging and kind of step up your skills, check out my online school, paintwithlovejoy.com, and check out the Paint Your Pet course. You'll be painting from your own photograph, and when you paint something that you love, it's a whole, you actually learn a lot more. And who doesn't love their pets? So check that out. And then I have another monthly class on there, the Intro to Palette Knife Scraping. And we have done some of the palette knife backgrounds, so it just kind of takes it to the next level. And then I've got quite a few things in the works in the next couple of months for videos that I'll be creating. All right, so now we're going to that lighter gray. I'm going to get the grill in there, and then we'll go just a touch lighter for that bumper. Again, remember to breathe. Let's add more white to this one, and I'm actually just going to make a new pile right here. We are going kind of light gray. I'm going to go right over the license plate holder, but we'll reapply that. All right, so not quite that light gray, going back to that middle gray that we used for the grill. And in with that middle gray, we're going to make kind of a C shape here on the, kind of an elongated C shape on the tires here in the center. And this would kind of be where the rims are. So my gray is still wet, so this may blend just a little bit, but kind of using the width of that brush, medium pressure, getting that center in there, and that actually got a little longer than I wanted. So going back to that medium gray, just reapply. There's always ways to fix and adjust. All right, then we got to get those lights in there. So going back to that light gray, a little more white to it. Get the headlights. All right, I'm kind of waiting for the truck to dry a little bit more before we put the highlights on there. All right, so I need a little bit more of the darker gray, just kind of bouncing back and forth. Let's go in between the bumper and the grill. And if you wanted to, you could have put your red paint there as well. Your call on customizing your truck. All right, and then this dark gray for the grill, we can do kind of these lines. And they don't have to be perfect, it's just giving the indication that we have the grill and this kind of framework happening. So you can be as exact or not, or impressionistic as you want. And keeping that light pressure and just using the tip of the brush. Treat it kind of like a pencil to get that license plate in there. And when this dries, you can personalize your license plate. You can use a Sharpie marker, might make it a little bit easier to write some words on there. All right, oh, let me see, we've got quite a few comments. Sorry, I got a little carried away for a moment. Oh, a few of those I've... Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it, Ruby, and found the downloads, the traceables. Excellent, and got a few, so you'll be painting a few. Oh, hi, Annette. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. And Lita, I'm so glad that you like my teaching style. Thank you so much. I'm quite honored to be doing what I'm doing, and this doesn't feel like work for me. I feel like I'm bringing you guys into my world just for a little bit and helping you just escape your world as well. But just really glad that I can do this for you guys and that you enjoy it so much. So, also with that said, and at all the current circumstances, let's see, figure out what I'm gonna do first. Or are you gonna go to white? We'll put some of those highlights on. But with all the current circumstances and so many kids not having actual school and homeschool stuff being shifted and parents having to do so much work and teachers doing so much extra work, on the Paint with Lovejoy website, I think I released it a couple days ago and I'm still fine-tuning some of the details, but there's an educator's pack on there, and that gives you, it's a monthly fee of $10, or you can do a yearly fee. And that just helps support these videos and making more, but it gives you access to all the traceables, a master list with all the videos, and you are more than welcome to use any of my videos in your classroom, for your kids, for your homeschool, for daycare, for anything. And you don't have to get that educator's pack. That's just basically for the traceables. but you can use the videos on YouTube, and if you can have your kids draw the traceables instead of purchasing it, that's even better. So basically, utilize my channel as you guys need for more people getting creative. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the painting now. I'm grabbing the white paint. We're going to put some highlights on our truck. And again, we're keeping that light pressure. And these are not going to be full-on straight lines that are connected and solid. If there's a little bit of choppiness, that's okay. And when you, after you've done a few of these, look at your painting from that distance of 5 to 10 feet away. And just notice if you look at it a little bit differently with this white. And this is what we're considering the highlight. So as you're watching this, just kind of observe the general place that I put each of these and mimic that to the best of your ability on your canvas. If it's a little different than mine, totally okay. All right. And there's even times that I forget that I am concentrating and holding my breath as well. So all the things that I recommend to you guys to do are things that I have to remind myself as well. Okay, so we do need to clean up some of this area here. So I'm going to clean the brush, and with the same amount of pressure that I was applying for the white lines, we're going to do that with black. And I'm going to outline those windows and then add the steering wheel and a few of the other details. If you want, I haven't fully decided if I'm going to or not, but possibly outlining your truck, basically recreating the traceable with a thicker outline, gives it kind of a pop art feel, and you can see some of the other videos that I've done that in. Completely your call. And if you choose to do that, I highly recommend that you fully let your painting dry for a good 20 minutes or longer, depending on what you need, before you go into doing these lines. It'll just make it easier for you and less contamination of paint and other colors. And getting this front windshield kind of outlined as well. I think I am going to go ahead and outline the whole truck too. So again, as you're doing this, if you are finding the brush super challenging, be kind to yourself, because the more that you hold the brush and use the light pressure, the more your muscles become comfortable with the movement, and it does get easier. If you really want to do the outline, but you are very much struggling with that light pressure, let everything dry and then use a Sharpie marker. There's always multiple solutions for an issue. All right, so again, if you want to outline, you can. It's great practice. Oh, Austin, I see more. Excellent, more comments. I do get kind of carried away and forget to look over. Denise, thanks so much. I'm so glad that you look forward to these premieres. I look forward to them as well. And like I said, I look forward to you guys' emails and the pictures too. So it's just really, really love the community that we're developing here. Also, I do have a Facebook group, Paint with Lovejoy, and great place to kind of show your pictures and, you know, even talk with other people that have taken the videos, and that's growing nicely. So feel free to check that out. There should be a link below in the social links to that. If not, Google search Paint with Lovejoy. I'm trying to take the market on that particular term. Awesome. Excellent, excellent. And we're about 40 minutes. We will be concluding this, finishing up the outlines. And then tomorrow, I actually forgot what tomorrow's painting is, but that'll be another live demo. And continue to let me know your recommendations. I have a huge list, and I'm just kind of chiseling my way through everything. George O'Keeffe has been a very popular subject matter, so I do have more of those in the works. I have more Van Gogh that are being edited right now. Gustav Klimt, got some Picassos. I am working more for a lot of the old master paintings, especially since I want a lot of the educators to utilize my videos in your classroom. So I'll be adding many more to those. And let's see what else is going on. Oh, I do have painting kits, and those are on both websites. And those have been, I think I've been shipping out probably 7 or 8 of those a week. And a lot of people are doing those for birthday parties. So check out what this called the party pack for the 3 project kit. And you can get the same setup for all 3 paintings. But for the party pack, I'll give you 3 sets of brushes. So that way your entire group has their own set of brushes. Or if you just enjoy painting and you want the supplies shipped to you, you can order the regular 3 project kit, and pick your 3 paintings you want to do. And I've got a young lady that I'm shipping a kit out to today that she has done just that. I believe this is her 3rd or 4th kit, and she's been doing all the projects. So it's just awesome to see so many people getting creative. All right, oh, let me get the one more right here, and then we should be done. All right, not a bad looking truck. All right, and yeah, definitely send me your pictures of your trucks. Pimp out your truck, make it awesome, customize it to your liking. But just basically whatever you do, just keep painting, and check out the other videos on the channel. And check out many of the other awesome artist tutorials out there as you increase your skills. I will likely stay in the niche of first-time and beginner painters, but as you get more and more skilled, there are some really great painting instructional videos out there, but you do kind of need a base for understanding your mixing and your blending, and then likely increase the quality of your paint. So basically just keep getting creative. That's what I encourage for everybody. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I will see everybody tomorrow for the next painting. Have a great Saturday, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.